An officer pulled up and he observes Brandon.
Hi. What are you doing, man?
So you better send somebody to the mom's house to give her a heads.
The 14th of July, 2019. The line crackled. Then came a voice eerily calm, chillingly deliberate.
My name is Brandon. The victim is Bianca Michelle Devins.
That was it. Just 20 words, and with them, the illusion of a normal Sunday morning in upstate New York shattered. Moments later, officers with the Utica Police Department arrived at the scene. Their body cams recorded everything. A black SUV was parked at the end of a quiet, dead-end street. The grass was soaked red. Lying beside the vehicle was a young man, bleeding from his own neck, clutching a phone. Behind the car, partially covered by a tarp, lay the lifeless body of a teenage girl, her throat cut so deep, the trauma silenced even the most seasoned responders. What happened here? That question would echo across the country for weeks, because the horror didn't end at the scene. No, it began to spread. Within minutes, images of Bianca's body appeared online. Discord, Instagram, group chats. Her final moments weren't just witnessed by police. They were broadcast to the world, shared, liked, reposted. And the comments? Fake. Cosplay? She deserved it. A new layer of cruelty, digital, detached, relentless. But Bianca wasn't a name in a headline. She wasn't a hashtag or a statistic. She was 17. She had just graduated high school. She liked video games, art, makeup tutorials, and pink hair dye. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. And in less than 1 hour, her story went from a night out with someone she trusted to becoming one of the most disturbing internet tragedies of her generation. So, what really happened that night? Who was Brandon Clark? And what pushed him to do something so horrific, so calculated, and so public? This wasn't just a murder. This was a mirror, held up to a generation raised online, and a chilling reminder that what begins as a post can end in something much darker. Before the headlines, before the hashtags, before the world watched her final moments through the glow of a phone screen, Bianca Devins was just a girl trying to figure life out. She was born on the 2nd of October, 2001, in Utica, New York. A small city, quiet and unassuming, where everyone still waves to each other at the gas station. Bianca grew up in a modest home with her mom, Kim, her stepdad, Mike, and her younger sister, Olivia. She loved cats. She hated math. She had anxiety. She was real. And like most teenagers of her generation, Bianca found comfort in the online world. When reality felt too heavy, she logged into Tumblr, Discord, Instagram, where she could be someone else, or maybe someone more. Online, she wasn't just Bianca. She was Oxychan, Eskdy, e-girl, aesthetic. She was artfully sad, neon dreamy, enigmatic, the kind of internet persona that captured attention. She became part of what some called e-girl culture. Makeup like bruises, selfies in soft light, captions that read like song lyrics, or cries for help. Offline, things were a little more complicated. Bianca had struggled with her mental health since middle school. Depression, self-harm. She'd been in therapy, even hospitalized once. But by 2019, she was getting better. Graduated from high school, planning to attend Mohawk Valley Community College that fall. She had goals. She wanted to study psychology, maybe help others who struggled like she had. Her family noticed the change, the way her voice lifted again, the way she started laughing at old vines, drawing, doing makeup on her sister. She was coming back to us, her mother would later say. But the thing about social media is, it's a double-edged mirror. While Bianca used it to connect, to express herself, others used it to observe. And one of them watched too closely. That someone was Brandon Clark. They met online. Like so many modern connections, it began with a follow, a DM, a shared playlist. He was a little older, 21, charming at first, supportive, attentive. Bianca thought she'd made a friend, maybe more. But what she didn't realize, what no one realized, was that Brandon wasn't looking for connection. He was looking for control. And for Brandon, attention wasn't love. It was possession. It was supposed to be a night to remember. On the 13th of July, 2019, just hours before her death, Bianca Devins left her home in Utica for a trip to New York City. She told her family she was going to a concert with Brandon Clark, the man she'd been casually spending time with for the last few weeks. It wasn't unusual. They'd hung out before. And for Bianca, this was one last taste of summer freedom before college life began. The concert was for a band she liked, Nicole Dolenganger, known for her dreamy, melancholic style. Bianca dressed in soft makeup, dark clothes, and posted a few photos to her Instagram story. She seemed happy, relaxed. But Brandon, he had a different energy. He posted photos too, not of the stage or the music, but of Bianca, close-ups. Captions like, "Here with her," as if documenting proof that she was his. Friends who interacted with them that night would later say Bianca looked calm, but Brandon looked tense, jealous, uncomfortable. Somewhere between the stage lights and the car ride home, something shifted. A moment, a message. Maybe Bianca texted someone else. Maybe she said something honest, too honest. Whatever it was, it lit a fuse in Brandon. They left New York City around 10:30 p.m. Traffic cameras and GPS later confirmed the route back, a 2.5-hour drive north. They were heading home, but only one of them would arrive. As the miles passed under dim headlights, so did Brandon's facade. His silence grew longer. His hands gripped the wheel tighter. Bianca, likely tired, maybe dozing off, had no idea she was sitting next to a man unraveling. By 6 a.m. they reached the outskirts of Utica. Brandon pulled the car onto a secluded dead-end road called Poe Street, a quiet place behind an industrial. No houses, no witnesses. And then, he took out the knife. What happened next is not fully known. There were no cameras on that street, no final phone call. Only the aftermath. A bloodied tarp, a shattered phone, and a picture that would go viral before her mother even knew she was missing. But that's still ahead. Because at this point in the story, Bianca Devins was still alive. A 17-year-old girl, riding home from a concert, thinking about sleep, maybe college, maybe nothing at all. And Brandon Clark was driving not toward home, but toward a decision he had been building quietly, obsessively, for weeks. No one can say for sure what Bianca's final words were. There were no surveillance cameras on Poe Street, no witnesses. Just the shadows of trees, the hum of the highway in the distance, and two people inside a parked car, one asleep, the other unraveling. At approximately 6:10 a.m. on the 14th of July, Brandon Clark pulled out a large knife. Investigators later found it stashed in the car, a military-style blade, clean before that morning. He turned toward Bianca, and then he struck. The attack was quick, but brutal. She fought. There were defensive wounds on her hands, her arms. But the damage was catastrophic. One slash across the neck. Deep. Deliberate. Then another. And another. By the time it was over, Bianca was gone. 17 years old, just weeks away from college. Lying motionless in the back seat of a car with the sunrise behind her. But Brandon Clark wasn't finished. Where most murderers flee, he stayed. Where most try to hide what they've done, he reached for his phone. He took photos. One of them showed Bianca's lifeless face, blood on her cheeks, a wide, gaping wound across her throat. He applied a filter, adjusted the lighting, framed it, and then he posted it. Discord, a private server where Bianca had friends, followers, and fans. The photo appeared with a caption, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to see this." Some users thought it was fake, a horror cosplay. Others panicked. One messaged Brandon, begging him to stop. He replied coldly, "I have to do this, goodbye." Then he uploaded it to Instagram. Same image, same tone. Underneath Bianca's own selfies, friends and strangers watched as her profile turned into a digital graveyard. And the photo spread like wildfire. Within minutes, it was screenshotted, shared, reshared, sent to her mother, her sister, her classmates. Bianca's family hadn't even been notified yet, and her death was already viral. There were people who laughed, people who typed L in the comments, people who said she deserved it. But there were also others, friends from Discord, fans, strangers frantically trying to alert the police. At 7:20 a.m., emergency dispatchers received multiple calls. "There's a girl," one caller said. "He's posted her body online. You have to find her." Officers with the Utica Police Department tracked Brandon's location using cell phone data. They found the car exactly where the last photo had been taken Post Street. Brandon was lying beside it, his throat cut, still alive, still holding the knife. And in the back of that car, under a green tarp, with pink-streaked hair soaked in blood, they found Bianca Devins. When Officer Ryan Williams arrived at Post Street just before 7:30 a.m., he expected a suicide attempt. That's what dispatch had said. Male caller, self-harming, somewhere near the dead end behind the building supply yard. But what he and his partner found was something else entirely. The officer's body cam recorded every moment. The car sat still, engine off, door shut. Brandon Clark was lying on a green tarp outside the driver's side. Blood covered his neck, staining his chest and pooling in the gravel beneath him. A knife glinted just inches from his hand. As officers approached, Brandon lifted his phone. "I'm recording this," he muttered weakly. They shouted for him to drop the knife. He refused. "I already did something terrible," he said. "She's in the car. I killed her. I deserve to die." The officers moved quickly, disarming him, applying pressure to the wound, calling for EMS. Then they opened the back of the SUV. And everything stopped. Bianca Devins was dead. Her body lay partially wrapped in the tarp, her face pale beneath streaks of red and pink hair. The wounds to her neck were deep, deliberate, designed not just to kill, but to disfigure. Even for experienced officers, it was overwhelming. One later told reporters, "We've seen a lot, but something about this, the way it was staged, the way it was posted online, it hit different." Brandon was taken to the hospital under police custody, still conscious, still bleeding. At the station, phones were already ringing. People from across the country, teenagers, parents, moderators, even Discord employees were calling in. Screenshots were flooding the internet. The image of Bianca's body was now on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and in private message groups. Some people tried to report it. Others downloaded it. A few sent it directly to Bianca's family. Her mother, Kim, received the image via private message before police could even knock on her door. She opened her daughter's Instagram and saw her own child dead on the screen, shared by strangers, mocked by some, ignored by others. It wasn't just grief. It was violation. Kim Devins collapsed. Olivia, Bianca's little sister, screamed. The world didn't just lose Bianca that day. Her family lost the right to grieve in peace. The horror of her murder had gone public. And no one, not even the police, could make it stop. Brandon Clark survived. His self-inflicted neck wound, though deep, had missed the carotid artery. Surgeons closed it with 14 stitches. Within 48 hours, he was awake, alert, and shackled to a hospital bed. Waiting. Detectives approached carefully, not because he was dangerous, but because he wanted to talk. And when he did, he showed no emotion. "I just couldn't take it anymore," he began. The interview, later made public, revealed a chilling detachment. Brandon spoke plainly, as if describing someone else's crime. He said that during the concert in New York City, Bianca had flirted with another boy, someone she knew online. Brandon saw it, and something snapped. "I knew she didn't want me like that. She told me, but it's like I didn't want to hear it." On the ride home, he stewed in silence, jealous, hurt, angry. But underneath it all, planning. He had brought the knife days earlier, just in case, he said. Just in case, what? Brandon said he didn't want to kill Bianca, but also said she betrayed him. He described her laughing in the car, texting someone else. He said it made him feel invisible. If I couldn't have her, no one else should, he told investigators. But what shocked detectives most wasn't the motive. It was what came next. He admitted he had planned the posts. He had written Instagram captions in advance, chosen the photo filter, even rehearsed what he would say to 911. I wanted people to see. I wanted them to know that this happened because she broke my heart. But that wasn't heartbreak. That was control. That was murder dressed in the language of entitlement. Investigators reviewed his phone. In it, they found photos of Bianca sleeping taken without her consent, screenshots of their messages, arguments, voice notes. A Google search, how to kill someone with a knife. They also found a folder labeled Plan B. Inside, suicide notes, music playlists, and a photo Brandon took of himself posing next to Bianca's body, smiling. He wanted to be remembered. Not as a monster, but as a tragic figure, a man pushed too far by a cruel world. He saw himself as a victim. But the truth was simpler. Brandon Clark was a man who couldn't take no for an answer. And when Bianca asserted her independence even gently, even kindly, he decided that if he couldn't control her in life, he would own her in death. On the 10th of February, 2027 months after the murder, Brandon Clark stood in a courtroom and pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of Bianca Devins. He wore a plain jumpsuit, his hair shorter now, his neck scar still visible. The room was silent. Cameras flashed. And in the gallery sat Kim Devins, Bianca's mother, holding a framed photo of her daughter, the same smile now forever frozen in time. Clark spoke softly, almost rehearsed. He accepted responsibility. He said he was sorry. But for Bianca's family, and for the millions who had followed the case, sorry wasn't enough. In his statement, Clark claimed he acted out of despair, a broken heart, a moment of weakness. But prosecutors didn't buy it. This wasn't a moment, they said. This was a production. They walked the court through the timeline. The premeditation, the camera angles, the filters, the caption drafts, the posting. Not only had Brandon killed Bianca, he had marketed her death. On the 16th of March, 2020, Judge Michael Dwyer delivered the sentence. 25 years to life in state prison, the maximum allowed under the plea. He looked at Clark and said, "You stole not just a life, but the dignity of death. You don't get to decide how someone is remembered, and you don't get to rewrite your crime through hashtags." But in many ways, the trial was only the beginning. What happened after Bianca's murder exposed a terrifying truth. There was no law that prevented the public sharing of graphic crime scene images online. Social media platforms could remove them, but only if someone reported them, and often, they didn't. Bianca's mother, Kim, received hundreds of messages from strangers, some sympathetic, others cruel. But the worst were those that came with attachments. Still images, screenshots, memes made from her daughter's last moments. It was torture. Not once, but again, and again, and again. So Kim fought back. She began to advocate for a new law, a federal bill that would criminalize the sharing of graphic images of crime victims. It was named Bianca's Law. The proposed legislation aimed to require tech companies to respond faster, take responsibility, and protect victims from being digitally violated after death. It hasn't passed yet, but it sparked a conversation about how we consume tragedy, how we turn victims into viral content, and how some monsters don't hide in shadows anymore. They livestream. And that may be the most terrifying part of all. Bianca's bedroom hasn't changed. The fairy lights still hang above the mirror. Her makeup brushes rest in a chipped Hello Kitty cup. Posters line the walls, soft pinks and dreamy blacks, the same world she built online, but in real life. Her bed is still made. Her sketchbooks are still tucked under the nightstand. Sometimes her cat still curls up by the pillow waiting. She should have grown up, her mother Kim once said. She should have had bad dates, changed majors, gotten tattoos, married too early, changed her mind, laughed at stupid things with her sister. But she didn't. Bianca Devins will always be 17. Frozen in the space between girlhood and adulthood, remembered not for the life she lived, but for the way it was taken. The world now knows her name, but not her laugh, not the way she sang badly in the car, not how she always had to dip her fries in ice cream. The internet knows the image, but her family remembers the person. And they refuse to let her story end in blood and pixels. Since Bianca's murder, her family has spoken at schools, conferences, and public forums. They've worked with lawmakers to fight for stronger digital protections. They've helped other families, the ones who also got that message, that image, that moment when everything breaks. It hasn't brought peace, but it's brought purpose. The story of Bianca Devins is not just about a killer. It's about a culture. One that too often turns women into warnings. One that scrolls past suffering. One that mistakes obsession for love and silence for safety. And maybe, just maybe, if we tell her story with care, not just for clicks, but for truth, someone will recognize the signs. Someone will get out. Someone will speak up. Someone will be saved. Because Bianca couldn't be. Not because she was weak, but because he didn't let her go. So now, we say her name. Not in fear, not in fury, but in memory. Bianca Devins. Daughter, sister, artist, friend. A girl who should have had time.